I don't know what god I pissed off to result in me being here today, doing the thing that I am doing, as opposed to the bajillion other things I could be doing. But no, I could be playing Pokemon. I could be I could be I could be an astronaut. I could I could be anything. But no. Nope. We're here. We're gonna watch Amber Heard's interview that was on the what is this called? The Daily something Daily Dateline, that's what it is. From today, it's NBC. It's 40 minutes long, so at least it's not as long as like the court bits that we had watched are 7 hours. At least, I mean, that we watched live, I should say. There's why is it every time that I start to go live, Puck decides he wants to play with like his loudest thing? Thanks, buddy. God. So the first video for the Dungeons and Dragons stuff will be out next Wednesday. So if you're interested in Goblin's Lair and you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPGs, the first video for that is coming out on not this coming Wednesday, the following Wednesday. Members and Patreons will get access to that video earlier, so they should have access to that this Wednesday. All right, so that is coming and that is up. I definitely recommend you check out the video from yesterday. There were some bombs dropped about an atheist organization potentially putting atheists in other countries in danger due to an Islamic insider. Go and look at that. That was there's some bombs dropped on my head that day. As well as if you want to see a little bit more of what's kind of gone on Twitter and social platforms, go check out the Dumbfeck Fridays. So, I have only seen a couple of clips of this interview. I was talking to Colonel Kurtz over on Drunken Peasants, and we watched a little bit of it over there, so I've only seen some clips. Now, this video is 40 minutes, but we were told initially that the interview was an hour long, so there should be about 20 or so minutes that have been cut out of this video. Now, I've heard that that's been confirmed, and that some of the stuff that was cut out was the stuff that made her look the worst, which is, to be expected. As we heard on the stand, people in the background got to do all the work to make her look good. So, no surprises there. If you're interested in the comparison, go and check out, I think the Umbrella Guy covered it, and I'm pretty sure as well as the Yellow Flash covered that as well. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. There's the reason why I waited till Sunday to cover this and didn't go to cover it right away is because I want to give you guys the opportunity to watch it if you're interested in it without it getting spoiled for you, without my stupid ass opinion added in, unless you're interested in my stupid ass opinion. So you can form your own opinions before being influenced by mine, but also you shouldn't let me influence your opinions. I'm an idiot. So let's suffer together, shall we?
I'm Lester Holt. Tonight on Dateline, Savannah Guthrie with an NBC News exclusive. Amber Heard speaks out in her first interview since the trial watched by millions worldwide.
I'm not a perfect victim. I get it. I'm not a saint. I'm not asking anyone to like me. But I asked the jury to just see me as human.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented. They listened to your testimony, and they did not believe you.
How could they not come to that conclusion? They heard over 3 weeks of nonstop, relentless testimony. I'm a hysterical woman. I'm a crazy woman.
Alright, so I'm already gonna pause right there. I don't recall anybody on the stand calling her crazy or hysterical. Does anybody have a source for that? Are we already at the citation needed? Are we already here at the citation needed? That took like how far did we even get? That was 44 seconds. Oh no. Okay. Nobody was accusing you of hysterics. That you got analyzed by court order to get a psych evaluation, and then that person gave their findings. Oh no. Okay. All right. Okay.
Can't be trusted.
The DEP team argued that you were the abuser. You instigated physical violence.
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. This is a trial run amok, played out on TikTok and social media.
Are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
Of course.
Did Savannah just admit that NBC is nervous about slander? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh boy.
I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth.
I'm gonna get copyright struck for this
Here's
stupid
Today
little
Show
stinger.
co-anchor Savannah Guthrie with Amber Heard after the verdict.
You're here.
So yeah, I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna get copyright struck, and like I'm not gonna get anything off of this. So consider liking and subscribing and stuff to support, and check out like the Patreon, and find me on Twitter and stuff to help me keep doing this dumb shit. Thanks. This is what I want to do. Yo, listen. If this video ends up disappearing eventually one day, it's available on Odyssey as well. So you can find me over there for anything that doesn't survive the YouTube sphere.
Some people might ask, why? Are you brave? Are you reckless? Are you vindictive? Why did you want to do an interview?
Are you stupid? Are you dumb?
One thing I can tell you is, one thing I'm not is vindictive.
I don't believe you. we watched you on the stand be vindictive is actually a very, very good word to describe your behavior, both on the stand and, around in general. It's like, oh no. Oh, okay. I'm gonna pull up really quick the actual definition of vindictive. Let's pull up the dictionary definition. Vindictive is having or showing a strong or unreasoning desire for revenge. Now, if I remember correctly, she said on the stand that she was not going to stop. She also said that she wrote the op-ed because she didn't want Johnny Depp to have power and to take that away from him after they were divorced for 2 years. The audio recording... I feel like vindictive's a pretty good word, actually. Let's go with vindictive. I like vindictive. And that's like, out of all those words, that's the one she picked out to address. Okay. X to doubt, but all right.
There's no part of me that sees any, this would be a really lousy way to get vengeance.
What do you hope to get across?
You being shitty at it and failing doesn't mean it's not what you're trying to do. That's not how that works. You don't get to, well, if I was gonna shoplift, I wouldn't have got caught. What do you mean? There's something called like the paradox of, oh god, Jack talks about it all the time. It's called the paradox of chat, help me out. Paradox of something or another. It's not projection, it's the paradox of, basically it means when you say you're definitely not the thing that you are, or you say you're definitely the thing you're not. Oh, I'm so honest, I'm so transparent. Message me in DMs. You completely undermine the fact that you're not being transparent. So, oh, I there's no way I'm the least vindictive person. Yeah.
Us here. You've had everything said about you. What do you wish people knew?
You know, Savannah, as silly as it is to say this out loud, my goal, the only thing I can hope for at this point, is just want people to see me as a human being.
So you want people to see you as a human being. Okay, sorry, I was just complaining about this closed captioning being in the middle of the screen. What about people aren't seeing you as a human? I don't know what people have said or in what way people have treated you that is not you being treated as a human being. You got airtime, you got a voice, you got time in court, you got attention, you were treated with baby gloves for years. I don't know what I want. Who's not treating you like a human being? Are you just not like that people on TikTok are my dog stepped on a bee. Like, nobody clip that. Definitely won't sound weird on a loop.
Tonight, we talk with Amber Heard, the woman at the center of one of the most sensational media spectacles in recent memory.
This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
For 6 weeks, millions of viewers around the world were glued to their screens, hanging on every moment of this courtroom slugfest between Hollywood stars.
So by saying that this is played out in the media and that people were glued to their screens, it's sort of implying TV, that this was being aired on television. But watch as they take that and then they flip it to say that people weren't really watching. They were just watching what commenters were saying. They were just seeing what was happening on social media. They didn't actually just watch what was being told. There was a reason I specifically watched, like, I plugged and said people should check out The Umbrella Guy and the some of the other online lawyers that were talking about this, but I didn't. I specifically watched it at my own pace without commentary. I watched it alone. But whatever. What do I know?
The next move was just a bang, and just she clocked me in the jaw.
It just hit me over and over and over again, and I thought, this is how I die.
The trial made public a volatile marriage, with private moments caught on tape.
I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
For some people,
What an interesting decision on which clips to show and what part of which clips to show. Right? It's yeah. This is being presented as a well, they're calling it a spectacle, so they're presenting it as such. So I don't know.
they just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing and don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that?
Absolutely. I can understand that. I would not blame the average person for looking at this and how it's been covered and not think that it is Hollywood brats at their worst. But what people don't understand is it's actually so much bigger than that. This is not only about our First Amendment right to speak.
But here's the
You had me in the first half. I agree that this is bigger than just two people in Hollywood fighting, because it has, whether they were part of Hollywood or not, the only thing that is relevant to is the exposure that this case got. There are plenty of cases that are like this where men get just wrecked. They just get wrecked. They just get treated like shit, and they just get wrecked in court. And there are ones that go the other way too, where the woman gets just shit on in court. There are cases where somebody they'll try to get somebody on a kidnapping charge instead of the rape charge, because the kidnapping charge is easier to prove and it is a heavier toll. So, like, I agree that this case is bigger than just who's involved in it because of the publicity, but it wouldn't have gotten that publicity if it wasn't for who was involved in it. And again, she's talking about the way this has been covered. The way this has been covered by the mainstream, and with what they're implying has all been in Amber Heard's favor for 6 years. So that I'm getting the feeling they're gonna be, maybe I'm jumping the gun. Maybe I'm being too judgy too fast. Maybe I'm being too judgy too fast. Maybe they're not going to just completely try to rewrite history here. History that's recorded that you can go find and look at for yourself if you want.
thing about the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects free speech. It doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation. And that was the issue in the case.
Yes, exactly. Free speech does not protect you if you go into a crowded theater and you scream fire. We get the concept of free speech from the Greeks. But my understanding of
They didn't cut that out. You would think that they would cut that out. Savannah just presents her with a problem, saying using the free speech to hide behind. Savannah rightfully says, okay, but free speech doesn't protect lies that are defamation. And she said, exactly. But that's what you did. That's it. So how is what you said protected by free speech in any capacity? It's also free speech. It doesn't protect you from, it protects you from your government. It doesn't protect you from lying about people. What does this have to do with the Greeks? Oh no, okay.
what that means is not just the freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power.
But truth is the word.
Truth and power are both the words, but there's you are the one in control of your relationship. Johnny Depp wasn't the one in power in that relationship. That's why people don't think you were the victim. You were, at no point was any of your freedoms removed from you. At no point was any of your freedoms, like, you weren't isolated. You had your friends around. You weren't financially controlled by anybody. You had complete control over your situation and the situation you were in, and then you were hitting some.
Word.
Yes.
And that was the issue.
And that's all I spoke.
So, how did it all come to this?
See you down the road.
Amber Laura Heard grew up outside Austin, Texas, with big dreams of Hollywood stardom. After moving to Los Angeles at the age of 17, she booked a string of TV and movie roles.
She got those cheek injections. She looks like a totally different person to me.
In 2009, she got a call that would change her life. It was from superstar Johnny Depp,
Here.
who wanted her to co-star with him in a film called The Rum Diary.
I don't think that was the story we were told on the stand. The story we were told on the stand was that she had a role in Rum Diary and they met on set. So did NBC just get that wrong, or is that just like a detail slip up?
He was 46. She was half his age. Domestic abuse.
She was 46. He was 46. She was half his age. So she was 23? So she was 23. So she was an adult. So I'm getting tired. Like, as much as I'm not big on big age gaps like that and power dynamic issues when you have somebody like Johnny Depp, that is a red flag to me, but it is not something that you can judge or condemn someone for. It is just certainly an eyebrow raiser, not a you're a bad person. It's just like, well, I'm not sure about this, but I'm not their friend. It's not my place to I don't know these people. I'm not Johnny Depp's friend. I'm not Amber Heard's friend. I mean, nobody's Amber Heard's friend, but like the point is that it's not my place to judge their age gap and whether or not there was adequate amounts of checking on consent there, because I mean, obviously there wasn't, because she took advantage of him. Because when you hit that 25 area, you're now in a situation where like it's just as likely that she's a younger person taking advantage of an older person, because that can also happen. So it's not automatically one way, and the presentation of this is bullshit. It's not up to the public to decide whether or not two people can or should be together, or whether or not there is or is not consent. It's up to the people who are friends with those people and who are around those people that could see these things and potentially interfere if necessary. It's not on me to sit here and be like, well, you know, she was only 23. Please stop infantizing people in their 20s. As much as I like to joke about how people in their 20s just shouldn't date, I'm not serious. It's a joke. Like, I'm kidding. Stop treating people in their 20s like they're fucking 16. Stop treating people in their 30s like they're 16. She wasn't a child. God. How can you have your cake and eat it too while trying to be a strong, independent woman, but also being like, but I was just a kid. When I was a young boy, my father.
Months later, Amber dropped the restraining order and they divorced. And it seemed like the Depp-Heard saga might end there.
What?
In 2018, she landed her biggest role yet in Aquaman. That same year, as the Me Too movement was in full swing, she wrote this now infamous op-ed for the Washington Post. It included
2018 is when Aquaman came out, not when she was cast and landed the role. So, you know. Nikki said, so Chesh, since you're 17, you shouldn't date. Listen, I am happily unavailable. Don't date me, I'm the worst. Leave me alone.
did a key line. I became a public figure representing domestic abuse.
You've said many times you just wanted to go on with your life.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Yes, domestic abuse, but there was also the headline, which was sexual violence. I know you're strapped for time, And I'm trying to be a little bit generous about like you're missing some key bit of details and information here that seems to be leaning in Amber Heard's favor to not be in there. But I mean, to be fair, anything about this case is not in Amber Heard's favor, so but that you're gonna, at least if you're gonna talk about the defamation case, you should get what the points of what the case is about correct. That'd be a good start. Fucking
life. When you wrote the op-ed, it raised all of this again. Why did you do that if you wanted to just go on and put this past you?
Because the op-ed wasn't about my relationship with Johnny.
But it...
You admitted in court that it was about him. You said that it was about him. You said that was about him and his power. The emails between yourself, your ghostwriter, and the ACLU and the Washington Post prove that you were making it about him and skirting around just not mentioning his name. You literally in this interview just said that what you said on the stand, all you spoke was the truth. So does that mean now you're lying?
You lie! You lie!
Oh my God.
Alluded to him.
It
was unmistakable.
You know, what the op-ed was about was, you know, me loaning my voice to a bigger cultural conversation that we were having at the time. It was about
spokesperson for victims. Who asked you? Who the fuck picked this woman? Who decided you got to be the spokesperson for women victims? Because I feel like nobody asked the women victims. Did a man make this decision? Is the guy who made this decision at the ACLU a dude? Cause it'd be really funny if it was. I don't actually mean anything by that. I hate these captions. They're awful. I kind of want to just turn them off. You guys think, I'm gonna make a poll in the chat. You guys think Savannah watched it? Watched the court case. You guys think Savannah watched the court case before doing this interview, or do you think she only had snippets of it? Do you think she actually watched the whole thing? Because I mean, she's a busy lady. That'd be a lot of research to do. I don't think she did. No, I don't think she did. We're gonna turn the captions off? Okay, I'm fine with that.
Reforms, legislative reforms, renewing the Violence Against Women Act.
Did you worry? Gosh, I'd love to be a person weighing in on
Renewing the Violence Against Women Act, this thing I know nothing about because I'm not a woman who's had violence put against them.
The op-ed wasn't about my relationship with Johnny.
But it alluded to him. It was unmistakable.
You know, what the op-ed was about was, you know, me loaning my voice to a bigger cultural conversation that we were having at the time. It was about reforms, legislative reforms, renewing the Violence Against Women Act.
Did you work?
Then why did you spend the majority of it talking about your relationship with Johnny? You dumb. Are you dumb?
Gosh, I'd love to be a person weighing in on these cultural issues, but that's going to stir this all up again.
You know, that's a great question, and one that I wish was considered more seriously because it's important.
When you wrote this op-ed, it was the height of Me Too.
She
Legions
blinks a
of
lot.
powerful men being canceled, losing their jobs. Did you want that to happen to Johnny Depp?
Of course not. It wasn't about him.
Now is when you would put okay, if you were honest and you were presenting things not in Amber Heard's favor specifically, or going out of your way to present things in her favor, you would take the clip of her on the stand from right near the end of the trial of her saying that it was about Johnny, and you would take that clip and you would put that right here. This is where that clip should go. Insert that clip right here of her saying it was about Johnny as a man with power needed to get taken down a peg. Get that clip right there. That clip needs to be right here. That's not the clip we're getting, but that's the clip that should be there. That'd be big brained. Good job, NBC. Good reporting.
Johnny Depp disagreed and filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against her.
Good morning.
She countersued, all of which led to the recent showdown in court.
How much did she countersue for, NBC? How much did she countersue for? Because he sued for 50 mil. She countersued for 100 mil. If you're gonna report it, at least report it fairly.
I don't have to remind you that you've been found liable for defamation against Johnny Depp. Having been found liable, are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
Of course. I took for granted what I assumed was my right to speak. Not just about what I lived through, but what I knew.
Do you feel like you could be sued again by him for defamation?
I'm terrified, which is what I guess a defamation lawsuit is meant to do. It's meant to take your voice.
Then why did you countersue? Which would have also been defamation. Were you trying to take his voice? Yeah, that you countersued him for defamation. You stupid person. How can you be this obtusely dumb? How could you I guess that's what defamation is about. It's about taking your voice. So I countersued him to take his voice. For double the amount of money, because it's not about money. It wasn't about him. I'm terrified, which is why I'm on NBC. I'm so scared. I was so scared of Johnny that I took pictures, embarrassing photos of him and sent them to my friend. Well, weren't you scared of him? No, why would I be? You want that? Huh? Huh? Oh, no. Okay.
When we come back, inside the allegations.
She has a need for conflict. She has a need for violence.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence.
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it.
Playing this clip
As I testified to, if it meant the difference between a broken nose or a sore cheek,
which you never had of either, but okay.
Do it.
Love music.
People lined the streets waiting for a glimpse of them, these two movie actors. Their cars pulling up not to a red carpet.
No. People didn't get line up to get a glimpse of these two actors. People got lined up to get a glimpse of Johnny Depp. Nobody was there for Amber. There were two Karens that were there for Amber, and they got fucking memed the hell out of because they were assholes and they tried to cut in line to get in, and made a fool. Those are the only people that I've even heard of that were there for to see Amber. There are a couple Amber supporters, but it was not like, oh, well, it was equal on both sides like you're trying to purport. No, it fucking wasn't. Absolutely not.
but to a Virginia courthouse.
What did you see out the window of that car?
Every single day, I passed city blocks lined with people holding signs saying things that I couldn't repeat on television. And they had to establish barricades to protect me so I could drive into a protected entrance of the courthouse. Every single day, that's how I walked in the court.
So we just saw a clip of people driving by, and I didn't see a single one of, not one of those signs said anything to do with Amber be like. I saw pro Johnny Depp stuff. I like that hearsay with the SpongeBob on it. That was pretty funny, but I didn't see anything that constituted a threat. Calling you a liar isn't calling you, like, isn't threatening you. Also, on the same side, I've seen pictures online that of people who were there, saying there was no barricade. So, where, Bishware, Rez, who's been a member for 18 months as a platinum goblin. Yikes. Yeah, yikes is right. Yikes is right.
There were more people waiting for her inside, packing the courtroom and watching from home. Amber's lawyers had...
Those people had to wait outside before they could come in. This isn't like an additional set of people. What are you talking about?
fought to keep TV cameras out, but lost.
I didn't want this to be a thing. I didn't.
Yeah, they lost to the court. The judge made that decision. Amber's team nor Johnny Depp's team proposed to have cameras. It was the court that said, we're going to have cameras. Johnny Depp's team said, okay, and Amber Heard's team fought it. If you're going to present this stuff, please, like, this is the overtalk. It's not like you have to explain this to Amber when you're interviewing and risk the interview. This is stuff that's been edited in after the fact. You could at least get this shit fucking right. This is why people don't fucking trust you. Because if you had been reporting this and there weren't cameras in that courtroom, Johnny'd be fucked. Absolutely fucked. Even if the jury still sided with him, even if he still won the case, he'd be fucked. Because all we'd have is whatever fucking narrative you guys are trying to put out here. At least get the fucking information correct.
I didn't want it to be a trial. I didn't want it to be a part of the public record. But when someone sues you, you don't really have a choice.
With the burden of proof on him, Johnny Depp made his case first. To prove defamation, his lawyers needed to show that Amber's claims of abuse were false and had hurt his career.
Mr. Depp, have you ever physically assaulted
And malice, but okay.
Miss Heard?
Never.
Have you ever sexually assaulted Miss Heard?
Never. Certainly not.
What have you lost as a result of Miss Heard making these allegations against you?
Amber trying to cry. She's trying so hard. Cut so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter because you didn't shut the fuck up. God damn.
Nothing less than everything.
Depp said there was an abuser in the courtroom, but it wasn't him. It was Amber.
She has a need for conflict. She has a need for violence. It erupts out of nowhere.
Depp described a particularly violent fight they had when he was filming in Australia. He said Amber threw a vodka bottle at him.
And it made contact and shattered everywhere. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed.
Depp
Vulnerable said apparently this interview wasn't pro-Amber enough because I saw an article that said the interviewer is friends with Johnny, so she shouldn't have been the interviewer. Nothing is going to be pro-Amber enough that is even remotely close to neutral because there is nothing that is pro-Amber that isn't just a lie at this point. You need to be able, if you have to, even NBC here is not presenting things from a neutral standpoint. They're presenting things by stepping on the scale to make it sound more equal while giving airtime to one party. This is not neutrality. This is not equal. This is not objective, right? And when you have to go out of your way to not make information readily available or slightly get things a little bit wrong or a little bit not 100% accurate in the overtalk, in post, come on. Ugh.
Attorneys showed the jury photos of injuries they said Amber had inflicted on Depp and asked members of his security staff to tell the jury what they'd seen.
I heard and saw a closed fist contact Mr. Depp in the left side of his face.
And whose fist was that?
That was Miss Heard's fist, Amber Heard's fist.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in...
And the answer to this ought to be, there's audio of you saying and admitting to starting physical fights. So let's see.
Violence, and it becomes normal, as I testified to. You have to adapt. You adopt strategies to cope with it. If it meant, as I testified to, if it meant the difference between a broken nose or a sore cheek, I would do it.
What about the witnesses who said they have seen you instigate physical violence? Did they all come in and lie in court?
I'm, less interested in sitting here, relitigating it with you. I am not here to call any...
I'm not going to answer your question. I'm not going to answer your question. That's what that was. Okay. And then they cut it. I'm not going to relitigate it. She's just asking your opinion, but okay. This isn't relitigation.
Any of his witnesses, any names. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to just kind of talk about it from what it felt like for me as the person who sat there.
There was one more voice.
But that's what she asked you. She asked you, what about all these people who said that you instigated? And how did that make you feel? That's not even a difficult question. That is a simple question, and she's just trying to nope the hell out of it. Okay. Yikes.
Voice Depp's legal team wanted the jury to hear Amber's. They had audio recordings of the couple talking about how Amber sometimes got physical.
I'm gonna smack my ear again. So it resounds in my cranium. Do you like that?
I love you.
Huh?
I love you. I'm sorry.
In another recording, Amber was less apologetic.
I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not deck you.
I'm glad they're actually playing the audio.
There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say, I started the fight.
I know much has been made of these audio tapes. And as I testified on the stand, what you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening. It was evidence of a negotiation.
The jury got access to hours worth of recording. What we saw that was presented in the court were snippets, but hours of recordings were actually submitted. So the jury got access to the full context, not just the snippets like she's claiming. So she's bullshitting here.
How to talk about that with your abuser.
But I am looking at a transcript that says, he says, you start physical fights, and you say, I did start a physical fight.
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did.
But you're just telling me today, I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk, not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the blame for, but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the luxury of saying, hey, this is black and white, because it's anything but when you're living in it.
He says
This is hand waving and obfuscation. That's all that was. That was just hand waving, obfuscation, gaslighting. Because she's trying to take advantage of when people will apologize for something just to settle the other person down. That is not what we hear in those tapes. Simple as that. I feel like there's more to talk about here, and this again, it harkens back to this is bigger than just it being about the two of them. People respond differently in abusive situations. Some people get detached over time. When violence and abuse is regular in the household, you will adapt and you will try to avoid that violence, or you'll find ways around it and cope. She is right about those things. But we saw on video what had happened. We heard the audio. There are pictures. So we know that she didn't do these. She admitted to not being afraid of Johnny. She admitted, well, weren't you afraid of him? No, why would I be? I hit you. That's not her admitting to something to keep the peace. That's not what that is. I didn't punch you. You're not punched. I hit you. That's you gaslighting somebody you hit and were abusing. This isn't complicated. This isn't an issue of black and white and trying to make it gray. This is an issue of somebody who's fucking lying.
You lie! You lie!
he never hit you. Never. Is that a lie?
Yes, it is.
He says he's never struck any woman. His lawyers argued at trial. None of his other prior relationships, not one woman has come forward and said he physically hit them. You were the only one.
Look what happened to me when I came forward. Would you?
Coming up.
What? What do you mean? You just call all of those women fucking cowards and that they left you out to dry? Wow. Fucking wow. Okay.
It was a shocking day in court yesterday.
The attention seemed to grow day by day.
The surprises just keep coming in this trial.
But for all the intense curiosity, this was not the first time Amber Heard and Johnny Depp faced off in court.
There was another trial, dealt with the same substantive issues, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Johnny Depp sued The Sun, a British tabloid, over an article it published describing him as a wife beater. The case went to trial 2 years ago in the UK. There were no cameras in court. The judge in that case found that most of Amber Heard's allegations of abuse were substantially true.
All right, so let's talk about what substantially true means. It means that there was a judge who decided that it was reasonable enough for The Sun to publish what Amber had accused Johnny of. Defamation comes along in the UK differently than it does in America. And a secondary party versus a direct party, right? So The Sun can say, hey, we were told this by the person involved, and we published what we were told. And then the judge has to decide if The Sun was negligent in finding out about whether publishing with disregard over what Amber Heard was saying was true or not. That's what it means by substantially true. Was it true enough to be believable by The Sun That's what the judge ruled on. The judge did not rule he was a wife beater. The judge did not rule about any criminality that may or may not have taken place. And the judge didn't rule about whether or not her story was even accurate. Just whether or not it was enough, it was good enough to be believed by the Sun to be published. Dear God. If you want to know a little bit more about what went on in that case and why it's weird and sketchy, go to my channel and find a video from like a year or two ago when I read through portions of it. I read through a bunch of what a lot of, you want to talk about evidence that got thrown out of the case? That case had evidence that was just thrown out by the judge, and some of them were not, I didn't think was reasonable. But who am I? I'm some fucking goblin. What the hell do I know? You can read it and check it out yourself and give it a look-see. There's also some complaints about that judge ought to have been recusing himself because of his ties to the Sun. So there's that also. But hey, you know, what do I know?
Johnny Depp has lost his legal battle with a British tabloid.
We prevailed, overwhelmingly.
I wonder if she is going to end up with perjury charges in the UK.
The jury in the U.S. trial wasn't allowed to hear about that judgment. And Amber says that by the time she got up to tell her side of the story,
I do.
The court of public opinion here had already turned against her.
The court of public opinion started flipping on her when the audio clip of her of her hitting him and saying, "I didn't hit you," is when that started flipping. How do I know this? I saw posts and polls about it. I tweeted about it the other day, a screenshot that I took from November of 2020 of people calling out Amber Heard for this shit.
After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw the courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans who were vocal, energized, who had come from all ends of the world.
We've been here all night long. I took 2 buses, 2 trains, and I had to walk a half an hour.
And the jury saw all of that.
During 5 days on the stand, Amber told her version of the toxic relationship. She said the physical abuse began when they were first dating and continued throughout their marriage.
When I was walking out of the bedroom, slapped me across the face. I turned to look at him.
That one's had the shit memed out of it on TikTok. That one I have seen, where somebody walks through a room and then I walked into a room and then he slapped me across the face and then I turned around and it's just like, how did he slap you across the face if he was behind you, lady? And now that could happen. It could be, but the way she's describing it is bizarre. Like, you can hit somebody in the face from behind, but like her description and then there's the physicality of geometry. It makes it very odd. I'll put it that way.
And I said, "Johnny, you hit me. You just hit me."
I testified on the stand. I got hit for a very long time before I knew how to even try to defend myself.
Amber said the abuse usually
citation need that one because I don't think that's quite how that was handled, but okay for now, I guess.
happened in private, but told the jury Depp once kicked her on a plane in front of his entourage.
I felt so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people.
In all, she described at least 12 times when
in front of people, but none of those people are here to testify about it.
Depp hit her.
And he's punching me with a closed fist, punching me.
She said it often happened when he was drunk or on drugs.
Right now, as you sit here today, do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse?
Of course, and I will to my dying day.
I will till my dying day, and I'm going to keep going because I'm so scared of defamation. And I'm so scared of what Johnny could do to me.
Know what happened to me. I'm here as a survivor. I, to my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
I never described myself as a victim. I never wanted to be viewed that way.
Allegations, her attorney showed photos of injuries they said were caused by Depp. One alleged beating happened in 2015, before Amber appeared on The Late Late Show with James Corden.
Exhibit 16.
A makeup artist saw Amber the day of the alleged incident and said she didn't see any injuries. But the next day,
she had a discoloration here, under both eyes, and on the bridge of the nose. And she had what I would call a split lip.
If I witnessed...
a nurse testified she saw Amber's bloody lip.
And she told you that that was a result of the altercation with Mr. Depp, right? Right.
And Amber's sister took the stand and told the story of one fight that she said included Depp hitting her, something Depp denies.
He comes up behind me.
This is one of the testimonies where the Amber's sister and Amber's testimonies didn't line up.
Strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister." She smacks him, lands one, and then he grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was whacking her repeatedly in the face with the other.
Mr. Depp, we've talked about this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio. Amber talking to Depp about acts of violence.
Go put your cigarettes out on someone else. You have consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up, fat ass.
The worst possible thing he could say. Called her a fat ass.
Week prior, after you beat the out of me. What happened?
Then there was this video.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so. That's crazy.
It's the mega pint.
Are you crazy?
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
You would agree that you were violent in
Have you drunk that whole thing this morning? Which he doesn't answer.
that clip, correct?
Clearly I was having a bad time. Yes.
You didn't
I
react.
did assault a couple of cabinets, but I did not touch Miss Heard.
You poured yourself a mega pint of red wine, correct?
A mega pint! Yeah, go check out the video where we actually did a little bit of science and measured out how much that mega pint actually would be. So go check that video out if you're interested.
A mega pint.
Yeah.
I poured myself a large glass of wine.
And remember what Depp said about that fight in Australia when his finger was severed? Amber denied hurting him and said on that trip, she was the real victim. Amber went on to describe a harrowing incident of sexual abuse. She testified that Depp assaulted her with a bottle.
Keep trying to cry.
But I could just feel this pressure. And I remember that it's just not wanting to move. Because I didn't know if the bottle that he had inside me was broken.
This is
In
what
that
I
courtroom.
had, this is what I had like kind of picked on a little bit because it gave me a little bit more information about her sexual life, because if you can't tell if she at some one point she described that he thought she wasn't sure if it was a bottle or his fist. And, like, listen, you don't just out of nowhere start fisting somebody. You gotta work up to that. So that was a little bit more information than I needed to know about Amber Heard's sex life, and that I guess she's into fisting. 'Cause, like, you can't just do that. That's not how that works. Women's anatomy, thank you very much.
I am testifying about sexual assault and domestic violence next to a jury in front of a whole packed courtroom of people who are expressing their vocal support and disdain for me.
Amber had told her story.
Sitting here. The judge was very strict about not allowing people in the courtroom to say much or do much of anything. There were a couple outbursts of giggles, but those tended to be when Johnny Depp was on the stand, not when she was on the stand. So, that's just a big ass fucking lie right there.
Now she would be forced to defend it.
Coming up, what the jury never saw.
Skipping the commercial breaks.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
After describing the abuse she says she suffered at the hands of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard then faced his attorney, Camille Vasquez.
Ms. Heard, Ms. Heard.
Vasquez set out to convince jurors they couldn't trust a word that came out of Amber's mouth.
You got physical with Mr. Depp often during your relationship, didn't you?
I had to defend myself as best I could.
You just couldn't control yourself, could you, Ms. Heard? Who was the real monster in this relationship, Ms. Heard?
There were so many questions that Vasquez asked that were yes or no questions, and for the most part, Amber would not answer any of them, and anytime she did answer a question, she tended to answer it indirectly, or in a way that she was just trying to get around it. If I'm not mistaken, this aired on Friday.
Depp's team argued that Amber had a history of being untruthful. Case in point,
$7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
They played a clip from an interview on Dutch TV where she said she had donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity. But
It was revealed at trial that you haven't done so yet. Do you think that raised questions as to your credibility with the jury?
Well,
I'm not a fan that Savannah threw the word in yet. I think that Savannah should have stuck with the you haven't done that though. That word yet in there is, I think that's her giving softball. That's her playing softball.
I think, you know, look, when you say to someone, I bought a house, are you lying? Because you have not paid for it in full at that point? I made a pledge, and that pledge is made over time by its nature.
You're splitting hairs a little bit there, because when you say I donated, you know that everybody thinks that you've donated it, not that you've pledged it. So for the jurors sitting there, do you think they felt like that was you getting caught in a lie?
I don't know, because so much of I feel like so much of the trial was meant to cast aspersions on who I am as a human, my credibility, to call me a liar in every way you can, and
that
more.
was the trial. It was a credibility contest.
She got it! Thank you! The NBC lady gets it right! Correct! It is a defamation trial. Did Amber just not know what trial she was in? Did she not know what her countersuit was? How do you be this obtuse? How can you possibly, did none of her lawyers did they just not tell her? Did nobody tell her what was going on? Did she not know why she was there? I felt like this whole trial was to determine about whether or not I was telling the truth. Si. Oui. Yes. Correct. Hi. Okay. Okay. Huh. Why would you do this interview? Why would you do this to yourself?
Depp's team also painted Amber as an attention seeker, saying she wrote that 2018 op-ed to coincide with the release of Aquaman.
And they suggested this was a publicity stunt, a way to raise your profile at a time when these issues were quite relevant.
It was one of those few moments of levity in the trial when I heard it suggested that my op-ed in the Washington Post could potentially boost sales for an international multi-million-dollar superhero franchise movie.
That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about boosting you and off of the back of Aquaman and boosting their own stuff off of all of this is in the emails that were put to court. Hello? Whoo! Okay.
That I was starring in. It's the other way around. You know, if anything, we're trying to get more awareness and attention on the issues within the article.
It wasn't a publicity stunt or a way to...
It's the opposite, you know.
Depp's lawyers called witnesses to challenge Amber's stories of abuse. One of Depp's friends testified about that fight on a plane when Amber says he kicked her.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp didn't kick Amber?
I didn't see anything like that.
And to counter the photographic evidence of Amber's injuries, Depp's lawyers showed the jury a slew of pictures of the actress looking unblemished after the alleged abuse.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Miss Heard?
That's why I'm wearing makeup.
You can't make up a broken nose. That's not how that works. She needs to get in touch with Owen Wilson. That man has, like, you can see his nose. It's been broken a few times. One of the most devastating things of this trial was where are the pictures and why haven't you submitted them? You submitted these pictures. Why didn't you submit these other pictures? Makeup and ice are magical.
Amber testified that some of the photos Depp's lawyers brought to court were taken days, even weeks after the alleged injuries occurred.
What I learned in that trial is it's never going to be good enough. If you have proof, then...
If you had proof, maybe you should have just tried bringing it and presenting it instead of not doing that thing. I mean, if you want people to rely on evidence, you need to bring the evidence. If you don't bring the evidence, they can't make a judgment on something you didn't provide. This is not... One of the pictures that Amber presented, she said in that incident she was beaten around the face and ended up with a bloody nose and like her face is fucked up. And the picture we get was a bruise on her arm where you could see her face with no markings. Huh? Hello? EMP for 5 said, I think Amber's lawyer Elaine basically committed career suicide, still supporting her after the fact. Just way too weird. Worst PR ever. Yeah, who's ever in charge of Amber's PR? I mean, it's probably not their fault. They're probably just, Amber wants to do whatever she's... As somebody who's worked with somebody who is not very receptive to understanding or learning or educating themselves on the way the public might view something, or understanding or being empathetic towards the way other people might view within context the way things are said, and sort of just want to do whatever the fuck they want anyway. That's a struggle. It's a struggle to work with somebody like that. And it's not... As much as the PR person can say, hey, don't do this, or as much as the PR person can say, hey, look out for this, or as much as the PR person can prep them, you can't save her from herself. She would actually have to be listening to the PR person in totality. And I would suspect that any PR person worth their salt would have said, don't do an interview. Do this, or answer these questions, but not these questions, or do this, but not that. Right? And so I suspect that she's like, well, I'm going to do the interview, period. And so the PR person was probably like, okay, since I can't stop you from doing the interview, then maybe do things this way and look out for this. And she went, yeah, okay. And then just did whatever she fucking wanted to anyway.
It was a scheme. It was a hoax. If you don't have proof, it didn't happen.
Correct. That's how court works. Pics or it didn't happen. This is a long-standing innocent until proven guilty. Pics or it didn't happen. If you don't have to make the accusations, if you are someone who is in an abusive relationship, if you are somebody who is suffering and is having a hard time, you're not Amber Heard, because you can get out of that situation with or without evidence. You can get out of that situation with or without proof. And you know what you're not probably going to do, and what you're not gonna try for, is writing a fucking op-ed post. She got out. She got out of her abusive situation. She was divorced, was away. She wasn't getting harmed anymore. I don't know what else to tell you.
If you have a bruise, it's fake. If you don't have a bruise, then violence clearly didn't hurt you.
No, it's not violence didn't hurt you. It's that violence didn't occur. You took pictures. You knew to take pictures. This wasn't a situation where you were not capable of taking pictures. This isn't the 80s. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket. And you took pictures. So you knew that you were taking evidence. You knew you were grabbing images so you could prove what you wanted to prove. But you didn't take any pictures of the shit that mattered. In fact, you took pictures that showed the opposite of what you were saying. And actually, you submitted the same photo twice for 2 different events. There was plenty of evidence in this case. It just didn't go in your fucking favor. And half of it you fucking submitted yourself.
If you told people, then you're hysterical. If you didn't tell anyone, it didn't happen.
You also told this jury.
When it came to Amber's most explosive testimony, the sexual assault, Depp's team pointed out the allegations only came up after her divorce. In court, attorney Camille Vasquez pulled no punches.
You testified you bled from your vagina as a result of that sexual assault.
Yes.
There aren't any medical records reflecting that you sought medical treatment for any of these injuries, are there?
I did not seek medical treatment after Australia, no.
Not for the rape?
No, I did not want to tell anyone.
There's no experience like being cross-examined. What was that experience like for you?
One of the scariest, most intimidating thing for anybody talking about sexual violence is not being believed, being called a liar, or being humiliated.
Throughout the trial, both sides.
Everything she just described there was not about safety, was not about a concern of being injured again, was not about getting caught up in the same situation ever again. Everything she just listed there that is the biggest fear of a victim is about other people's perception of her. Not a single one of those things she listed, not being believed, viewed as a liar, and humiliated, are all reputational about what other people think about you. And you're saying that as a victim of this horrific event, your biggest concern, what you didn't, because you didn't leave Johnny at that time. You and Uncle Johnny stayed together. Your biggest fear is about the way people perceive you, not potentially getting into another relationship that could be that volatile, not experiencing the same kind of thing again, not reliving for recounting this thing, not the fear of. You wanna know why people don't fucking believe you?
You lie! You lie!
I can't.
Is unfucking believable.
Sides fought to get additional evidence in front of the jury to bolster their claims. Some of it was deemed hearsay under the rules of evidence and declared inadmissible by the judge.
Is there one piece of evidence that you wish the jury had seen, that you could point to? You say, this would have made the difference.
Yeah.
What is it?
There's a binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011 from the very beginning of my relationship that were taken by my doctor, who I was reporting the abuse to.
That doctor.
Oh, please tell us what kind of doctor this is. I can't wait. This is going to be like Dr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium.
Doctor was Amber's therapist at the time. We looked at notes the doctor took during some of their sessions, which show that as far back as 2012, Amber was talking about physical abuse. In January of that year, she told her therapist Depp hit her, threw her on the floor. 8 months after that, ripped her nightgown, threw her on bed. And in 2013, the therapist's notes say he threw her against a wall and threatened to kill her.
I mean, great, but this is all self-reporting. This is all just Amber's word. This is all just more accusations. That's not a medical record. That's not a record of injury that took place or did not take place. This is her telling a therapist that this thing happened and the therapist making notes about it. The therapists are also required reporters, by the way. So when you work in therapy, when you work as a nurse, when you work as a doctor, if you work as a emergency professional, emergency services, you're a required reporter. You have to report shit. You're required. If you see somebody bruised, you need to fill shit. There are forms you need to fill out. So she just basically is saying her doctor didn't do their job for all those years because I told them I was being hit, but they never reported anything. Well, why didn't the therapist report anything? Did the therapist say, take pictures of your bruises when you went there? Did your therapist tell you how to, like, handle the situation? Or did your therapist just take fucking notes? Because even your therapist didn't fucking believe you, but the therapist had to behave as if they believed you because it's their job. Oh my god. Sorry, I just banged my...
I am talking about what's happening to me in real time when she was taking contemporaneous notes.
In real time,
what was
the therapist was on the phone with you while you were being hit, and you were like, he's hitting me! Or was he in the office? Listen, I know what she means, but I'm gonna make a drink. All right, we are at we have been going for an hour and a half, so I'm gonna give us a quick 2-minute break. Let you guys go have a pee. Let me go have a pee, and we will be back momentarily. Take a quick 2-minute break, everybody. Oh, buddy. I made it back in time. I had just enough time to go and get myself a flapping, big old glass of orange juice and rum and a lime and some ice. Oh, I need this. I deserve this. I deserve this for listening. You think that Amber drove Johnny Depp to drink? Because she's driving me to drink, and I'm gonna stand by that. All right. Why didn't she ever call the cops? Domestic violence is taken seriously. Well, fun thing about that, when Johnny Depp's finger got getting smashed, the doctors were there, the emergency services were there, and she was there supposedly with a bleeding vagina, having the shit kicked out of her and beaten over the head with a phone or whatever, as well as a bunch of cut up feet with because she had was stepping and walking on glass, so her feet were all sliced up, and none of them reported anything, and she got no medical attention, and there are 0 medical records because all this happened to her, but she didn't need medical assistance. This bitch is Wolverine. God, all right, let's go.
Amber's lawyers also showed us text messages that were excluded from trial, like this one she sent to another therapist saying, "Johnny did a number on me. I thought I had a concussion." And this text message she says she sent to her father after that disputed incident on the plane. She wrote, "He kicked me in front of everyone."
I testified I was attacked on that flight.
Okay, but it's still just your self-reporting. That is just the repeating same thing over and over again, right? That is still just you reporting that this thing happened. You got to give your testimony. These notes and text messages are the same as your testimony, or like the same thing. It's your side of the story telling other people that this thing happened. That's what you did on the stand. You told people that this thing happened. This is why it wasn't admitted to court. Like, there's no reason for it to be admitted to court because, yeah, we know.
And I was attacked in front of people. And when I got off the plane, sent messages to people about what had happened. I'm angry because this happened. Can you believe he did this and this and this, you know? And one of the people I reached out to was my father.
Depp's lawyers say the judge's rulings were fair, and a Depp spokesperson told us it's unfortunate that the defendant and her team are back to repeating, reimagining, and relitigating matters that have already been decided by the court.
That's a good answer to that.
Amber thinks the case wasn't just decided inside the courtroom. She believes what happened outside made all the difference.
What do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that what happened on Twitter and outside the courtroom on mainstream media and social media changed the jury's opinions, changed the jury's outcome? And I'll make that a poll. I'll make that a poll as well. And we'll say, do you think media coverage changed the jury's decision? I don't think so. And I think if they had witnessed anything that was mainstream media, like anything that was related to the course through the media, it would have been on TV or it would have been on the radio, because it's really easy to actually avoid this online. Twitter has blocking hashtag. You could have blocked Amber Heard. You could have blocked Johnny Depp. You could block all those hashtags. So you could see that they're trending and you could just block them. It's also really easy to log out of Twitter. Twitter is also just a bunch of fucking people's opinions for the most part. It's easy to avoid it on Reddit. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody was listening to the radio driving home and the radio station was talking about it. That I would call pretty fucking unavoidable. Because sometimes the radio just starts talking about something. They don't warn you that they're going to be talking about it.
Coming up,
The majority of this trial was played out outside of a courtroom.
I'm just skipping the rehash clips.
There's a text message where Johnny promises total global humiliation for you. Do you feel like that came true?
I know he promised it. I testified to this. I'm not a good victim, I get it. I'm not a likable victim. I'm not a perfect victim. I get it. I'm not a saint. I'm not asking anyone to like me.
I never viewed myself as a victim or called myself as such. Meh.
But when I testified, I asked the jury to just see me as human and hear his own words, which is a promise to do this, a promise to humiliate me, a promise to ruin me. It feels as though he has.
As the trial...
The context of him saying that was him saying, is she really not gonna leave me alone because she's just asking to be humiliated? That's your own actions. These are the your actions have consequences. When will you learn? This is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Unfolded inside that Virginia courtroom, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were being judged in the court of public opinion.
This Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing has been going on for a little bit now, and it's gotten pretty wild.
Though both stars had their supporters on social media, there is no question that the internet sided against Amber Heard.
And this is what I don't like. What do you mean when you say the internet, NBC? I'm watching this on the internet. Your articles are viewable on the internet. The Washington Post articles are viewable on the internet. You mean public opinion of people who are watching did not go in her favor. That's what you mean. Thank God the judge had cameras in that fucking courtroom.
Ew, this is so cringe. Guilty.
I mean, this was a sort of medieval orgy of hatred.
Michelle Goldberg is
a medieval orgy of hatred? Oh my God, what is that? I need to know. Is there a Renaissance painting of a medieval orgy of hatred? I need to know. If it doesn't exist, I need to learn how to paint in Renaissance style and create one. What is a medieval orgy of hatred? This is a brand new sentence. I've never seen these words strung together in such a medieval orgy of hatred. All right, sorry. You said this is Michelle Goldberg, you said? I apologize.
It was a sort of medieval orgy of hatred.
Michelle Goldberg is an opinion columnist for the New York Times.
I think it was, people really enjoyed joining in. That's, often the case with mob behavior. And I think that's essentially what this was. It was kind of, misogynist mob behavior.
Oh, it was also misogynist. Okay. What about it? Please inform me. I keep hearing this. I keep hearing this over and over and over again. If you side with Johnny Depp, or you watch this and you didn't believe Amber Heard, it meant you're misogynist or it means you're sexist. But not a single person has been able to explain why or how. So I'm looking forward to the day that one day in the future, maybe my dream will be fulfilled where somebody who actually supports Amber Heard will have a fucking conversation with me because none of them will talk to me. I don't know why. I'm pretty reasonable. I'm a nice guy.
Online, people picked apart Amber's every move. Videos ridiculed her face.
Wait, they said their name was Michelle Goldman, right? Okay, please make a note of Michelle Goldman. We're gonna have to go and see if we can find her articles, and we're gonna go take a look and see what we find. New York Times opinion columnist. Medieval orgy of hatred. Check out, keep an eye out for that on a Dumb Feck Friday.
Facial expressions, and accused her of faking emotion on the stand.
This is just a fake crying train wreck you can't look away from.
Johnny, you hit me. You hit me.
was really striking to me to see all of these people engaging in this trend of reenacting her testimony.
And I was walking out of the bedroom, slapped me across the face.
And
yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. A domestic violence trial becoming this source of national hilarity.
It wasn't a domestic violence trial. It was a defamation trial. I will say that again. This wasn't a domestic violence trial. This was a defamation trial. Columnist of the New York Times, who should probably reconsider their field. Is there a difference between a journalist and a columnist? Are people who write opinion pieces just randos? Because it kind of feels like it. Kind of with what I've been seeing, it feels like anybody who's an opinion piece writer should probably just fuck off. Nobody asked for your fucking opinion.
One of the most infamous moments in the trial was when Johnny Depp suggested she may have defecated on their bed.
It wasn't suggested.
My side of the bed was human fecal matter.
Amber denied it, but that didn't stop the internet from branding her with a viral nickname.
I saw what was happening to me in real time. I don't care what one thinks about me or what judgments you want to make about.
Bullshit. You already said that the worst thing you thought as a victim going through this was how people were going to view you and what they were going to think about you. Whether you were going to be humiliated, whether you're going to think that you were a liar, whatever. That bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The shit you just said right now is bigger than the shit you took on that bed.
What happened in the privacy of my own home and my marriage behind closed doors. I don't presume the average person should know those things, and so I don't take it personally. But even somebody who is sure I'm deserving of all this hate and vitriol, even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation. You can.
The question was about you shitting on the bed. And this was your runaround. Your answer wasn't, no, I didn't. You're fine with lying about all this other shit, but you're not gonna just say, no, I didn't shit on the bed? You're not gonna... I need a minute. Why wouldn't you just say I never shit on the bed? Why would you go on this weird pretend prolific statement about what? Oh no! I feel nothing but pity for her PR person. I'm sorry, I have to put this back just a little bit. About the shitting on the bed thing. I'm sorry. I need to rehear this.
Saw what was happening to me in real
was when Johnny Depp suggested she may have defecated on their bed.
And on my side of the bed was human fecal matter.
Amber denied it, but that didn't stop the internet from branding her with a viral nickname.
I saw what was happening to me in real time. I don't care what one thinks about me or what judgments you want to make about what happened in the privacy of my own home and my marriage behind closed doors. I don't presume the average person should know those things, and so I don't take it personally. But even somebody who is sure I'm deserving of all this hate and vitriol, even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't tell me, look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation.
People can make fun of you and not hate you. I don't hate you. I just think this is really stupid. I think this is real dumb. And I'm glad that when I first heard about what had gone on between you and Johnny Depp, that I did not pick a side. I was like, that's a lot. I'm gonna have to wait until I get more information to make a decision, and I'm glad I followed through and to follow what ended up happening with this case. Because there's definitely a lot of information, and I feel like you're gonna end up in a fucking law textbook somewhere. I don't know.
You cannot tell me that you think that this has been fair.
If Amber...
It hasn't been fair. We all know this hasn't been fair. That's one of the reasons why people are so upset. It hasn't been fair towards Johnny. There were 6 years that people were listening to Amber. There's 6 years. She became a spokesperson for women victims. The social media and the media in general has been on her side. Even this interview, as much as it's harmful towards her, is still going out of its way to try to at least make things seem a little bit equal. The number of articles I found in a couple hours of searching just on the front page of Google, I found over 70 some odd articles that were pro Amber Heard after all this additional information came out. So no, I agree with you. I'm more than happy to look you in the eye and say that no, this has not been fair. Social media has not been fair to Johnny. And it's taken hundreds of thousands of people who are actually watching this case to speak up and say, hey, listen, fuck this shit. And those people deserve to be respected for doing so. At least in that instance, I don't know if they're good people. I hang out by myself. I don't know anybody. Nobody talks to me. I don't know what you mean. But I agree that this hasn't played out fairly on social media. And you got 6 years. You got a 6-year advantage on this motherfucker, and you still got steamrolled. He gave you a head start and a half. He gave you a head start and $7 million. I don't care how people think of me. Okay.
Was the villain, then Johnny Depp was often portrayed as the hero.
This dude's such a stud.
People online found his grasp of the law charming.
That's hearsay, I guess. I'm learning.
And testimony about his drinking only seemed to endear him more to his digital fans.
You poured yourself a mega pint of red wine, correct?
A mega pint?
During this...
Okay, so I before this trial and such, I didn't have an opinion about Johnny Depp's drinking habits. I do remember hearing about that he had spent a lot of money and lost a lot of money on the amount of alcohol that he was buying, but we found out through this trial that the money he was spending on alcohol wasn't for him, it was for her. And so I do now have an opinion about Uncle Johnny's drinking habits, and it's that he doesn't drink nearly as much. I don't think he has a drinking problem. I think he drinks, and I think he drinks regularly, but I don't think he's an alcoholic. Like, I don't think he has a problem. I just think he drinks. Like it or not, you can have a glass of wine or 3 in a day and not have a drinking problem. That might be expensive, but it's not Alcoholism. A mega pint. I want to go drinking with Uncle Johnny now.
6-week trial jurors weren't sequestered. They spent nights and weekends at home with their phones.
I think a majority of this trial was played out outside of a courtroom, unfortunately. I think vast majority of this trial was played out on social media. And I think that this trial is an example of that gone haywire, gone amok. And the jury is not immune to that.
You think the jury saw it?
How could they not? I think even the most well-intentioned juror, it would have been impossible to avoid this.
Can I point out that all of the Amber Heard pro stuff had already well-established, like, news outlets, not randos on fucking YouTube? And the randos on YouTube got popular and people started watching them because they were fucking reliably relaying the information? God, you assholes.
Depp's attorneys reject the notion that social media influenced the jury in any way. They say they believe jurors followed the judge's instructions to not read about the case. They said social media wasn't the problem, Amber was.
The Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Wow, what a comeback. Did she just not understand what they said? They said you were acting. Them representing somebody who's a good actor would make them better at recognizing acting, not worse. Go check out my fucking reaction to this on Drunken Peasants the other day, because I tried to break down what I thought she might have been trying to say. No, Ericles, I agree with you. I can't believe they kept that in. Why would you leave that in? Maybe if I felt obligated. I mean, I would have a hard time. On the cutting room floor, I would have a hard time leaving that out, because that's gonna get clipped and played like crazy. Like, you want ratings? This is gonna get you ratings.
I'm the performer. I had listened to weeks of testimony insinuating that, or saying quite directly that, I'm a terrible actress. So I'm a bit confused how I could be both.
No, saying it's the performance of a lifetime meant that it was the performance of your, like, this was the most amount of people that were ever going. You actually just didn't understand. Ooh, okay, this is playing chess with a pigeon. Okay, I will break this down. I don't feel like the people who watch me are so stupid that they didn't understand this, but apparently Amber Heard didn't. When they said it was a performance of a lifetime, they meant it was your most important role in your life. The of a lifetime means that this is the most amount of people that have ever watched you. This is the biggest performance. This is the biggest audience you've ever had or ever will have. It's a performance of a lifetime. They didn't say you acted well. You can have the performance of a lifetime and totally screw it and, like, just do a real shit job. They didn't say you were a good actress. Your narcissism is showing. I don't know if she's a narcissist or not. This is
This guy is unfucking believable.
Coming up.
Why are there so many commercials?
The verdict. What might the impact be?
I worry about some of the very, very real fear others may have about coming forward.
Shut up.
After 6 weeks of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard slugging it out in court, the case went to the jury.
It's the day of the verdict. You come into the courtroom. Were you feeling confident?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. I wish I could say yes to that.
So you're gonna say
I want
no?
to say yes to you, but it wouldn't be true.
Question. The statement
So,
has
no.
a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp. Answer, yes.
Court is adjourned. Thank you.
In the end, the jury believed Johnny Depp, awarding him more than $10 million in damages. Amber won a single defamation claim in her countersuit and was awarded $2 million.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented. They listened to your testimony, and they did not believe you.
They kind of looked at the evidence you presented and your testimony. Not only didn't believe her, but her evidence worked against her because they didn't believe her because she fucking lied.
They thought you were lying.
How could, I'll put it this way, how could they make a judgment? How could they not come to that conclusion? They had sat in those seats and heard over 3 weeks of nonstop, relentless testimony from paid employees and towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say.
So you don't.
Is she saying that the testimony of people who were not paid are not sided with either, like, not paid by her and not paid by him, randos? That you you would think I'm just gonna keep drinking. I'm just gonna keep drinking. One of the jury members at this point has come forward, had talked about sort of what the jury was thinking at the time, and that they didn't take into consideration, or what they were focused on was testimony that was not paid for by anybody. So that leaves almost like they broke down and removed a little bit of whoever was either paid by or friends with. So Johnny's sister, Johnny's friend, Amber's sister, Amber's friends would not have been taken into as much consideration. They would probably acknowledge that they existed, but for the fact of the matter. So who would that leave? From my understanding, that would leave Johnny Depp's doctor, like the one in Australia who worked on his finger, like the emergency service doctor that worked on his hand. That would leave the ACLU guy, and the ACLU, I can't believe the ACLU is now attempting to sue Johnny Depp in New York for a X amount of dollars, which they claim it costs them to show up in this case. I don't know if there's anybody that would be on Amber's side that wasn't paid by her. There's even people on her side that were arguably played by Depp, but it was through her. So, like, Io and her sister and her friends who were staying for free and living for free and eating and drinking for free on his dime through her. So she definitely means Morgan Knight and Morgan Tremaine, for sure. The police. So the police would be another one. Good point, Kyle's Goldfish. So that would leave the police, a doctor, and Morgan Tremaine and Morgan Knight. I can't think of a single testimony that was staunchly in Amber's favor that was not paid for by her. So and I guess then there's themselves, because I mean, Amber contradicting herself on the stand is pretty yikes. But okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep going. I went on a side. I went on a side tangent.
Blame the jury?
I don't blame them. It wasn't.
Yeah, you do.
I don't blame them. I actually understand. He's a beloved character, and people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor.
Their job is to not be dazzled by that.
Again, how could they, after listening to 3.5 weeks of testimony about how I was an uncredible person, not to believe a word?
Sorry, just in the chat, RNGD Gaming said pity for the PR person that legit got me too'd. I would pity Hitler for having to work with this bitch. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve their own consequences for their own actions, but I would pity anybody who had to work with or for this person.
It came out of my mouth. I'm a hysterical woman. I'm a crazy woman.
Nobody said that.
I can't be trusted over and over again.
Johnny Depp was quick to celebrate his victory in a statement that read in part, "From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome," adding, "The jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled."
When I asked his lawyers, why do you think you won? The answer I got was,
the difference in their public statements is absolutely fucking hilarious. Yeah, I understand. You want to go for a walk. We will get there. Oh, hold on. Yes, I understand that you want to go for a walk. We will get there soon. Can you lay down? You lay down? Oh, there's a good boy. Will you give me a high five? Come on. Hey, reach. High five. Oh, good boy. All right. I'm almost done. Good boy. You wait. Everybody send love to Puck. Yeah, this lady's life is a dumpster fire.
Because she never took responsibility for anything she did in the marriage. And as we're sitting here and I watched your cross-examination, there's an answer for everything. Do you feel you should have owned up to more of your own bad behavior that was revealed in court?
I'm glad, actually, you asked me that, because, you know, there is an answer for these things. You say, I said this on the stand. You hear my voice in those audio tapes. It's not the voice of me now. That's not who I am now. I did do and say horrible.
What? Are you suggesting that because X amount of time has passed, therefore you've changed as a person, therefore you should not be beholden to consequences of those past actions? Because if that's what you're going to say, then you need to leave Johnny Depp the fuck alone, no matter what you think he did to you, if anything. That is the single dumbest thing I have seen her say so far today. I make no promises that I won't see something dumber, and I also have to re-review what I saw her say before. But that is fucking absurd and offensive. Fuck you.
Regrettable things throughout my relationship.
It was regrettable.
I behaved in horrible, almost unrecognizable to myself ways. There's
almost unrecognizable. All right, listen. There's something that kind of goes along with this. And it's that she is specifically vague. Now, I've talked about this before, and I've explained it before, but I'll go over it one more time. When you are specifically vague, it means that you are being specific about what you're saying, however, you're vague on the details. So she's saying specifically that she was awful, but she's being very vague about what she did that was so awful, which is skirting responsibility, which is hand-waving responsibility, which is detracting from responsibility. It's lip service at best. At best. Make sure to like and subscribe because I hate myself. Thanks. Big preach. Share the video and watch me cry.
I have so much regret.
On the first day of the trial, you issued a statement, and part of the statement said, "I still have love for Johnny."
What are you wiping? What the fuck are you wiping? What the fuck are you? What bullshit? This is the same thing you did on court. I'm putting it back. We're watching this again.
Of me now. That's not who I am now. I did do and say horrible, regrettable things throughout my relationship.
That you were gonna
I
throw,
behaved
that you
in
threw
horrible,
pots and pans at
almost
Johnny?
unrecognizable to myself ways. There's so much. I have so much regret.
On the first day of the trial, you issued a statement, and part of the statement said, "I still have love for Johnny."
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
Let me wipe the non-existent anything on my face. What the fuck? Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's hear about her fucking obsession with Johnny Depp for whatever the fuck bullshit reason.
Almost unrecognizable to myself ways. There's so much. I have so much regret.
On the first day of the trial, you issued a statement, and part of the statement said, "I still have love for Johnny."
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
After everything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love him. I loved him with all my heart, and I tried the best I could to make a deeply broken relationship work. And
I was gonna put this into perspective. They were married for a year. All this crazy amount of abuse that she alleges happened within a year. This was not over the course of like 7 years. This is like, oh, he beat me up, and then like a couple months later he beat me up, and then a couple months later I was raped with a bottle, and then a couple months later he beat me up. This is not over the course of like, oh, he hit me one time and then it slowly escalated over the course of years. This is all, they had a 1-year marriage. Also, if you listen to her on the stand when she was being questioned about 15 months. When she was being questioned about Johnny and what was going on with his finger, right? The disease that got onto it, the cut, the procedures that needed to happen with that finger, she didn't know any of the details. If you ask her about Johnny's likes and dislikes and anything about him, she doesn't know the answer. She doesn't like him. She doesn't love him. She doesn't care about him. And I would be remiss to say that she ever did, because she doesn't do or say or know anything that indicates as such. When you love someone, you care about their interests, whether those interests are interesting to you, because it's not the interest that you find interesting, it's the person that you find interesting. I'm not terribly interested in blues music, but you know who I would listen to talk about blues music forever? Somebody like Johnny Depp, because he's passionate about it. And I just like listening. And it's not because I care about Johnny Depp, I don't know him. But it's because I value when people talk about the things that they're interested in, because people who are impassioned about something have really interesting things to say, and I just like listening to people talk about something that they're passionate about, whether I'm interested in the thing or not. And I'll absorb some information sometimes, if I can. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes it's over my head and it's too much for me. Why do you think I like talking to Landon so much? It's not because I know much about volcanology, and I think volcanoes are cool, but Landon is interesting and passionate about it. And so I just like listening to Landon talk about it because it's fascinating, and he makes it more interesting because he's passionate about it. I know more about magic cards than I care to. And it's not because I'm interested in, I played Magic the Gathering back in the day, so I have a basis of knowledge, but it's been years. But I can sit and listen to somebody who's passionate and interested in it because I care about the person who's talking about it. And pick a topic, it doesn't matter. I listen to people in my Discord talk about shit I could care less about. Why? Because I like them as a person and they're passionate about it. That's what my Discord is about. You can sit and have those conversations. Speaking of which, join the Discord. Become a member. Become a Patreon. Join the links below. Yeah! I'll listen to you talk about whatever dumb bullshit you think is interesting. But you don't see that from Amber. She's not interested in what anybody else has to say. She's not interested in what Johnny's interests are. She doesn't care that her husband had to get pins in his fingers and MRSA treated on his hand. Thank you, EMP, for dropping what that is. When you love someone, you listen to them and you care about what they say. If you love somebody and you ignore them, you don't love that person. You're performative at best. I've been in relationships like that. They suck. They suck real bad. She's full of shit. I don't know if somebody like Amber is capable of shelving her agenda. And shelving your agenda is something where you take what's bothering you and you put it up to the side and you say, okay, this is bothering me, but we'll come back to that. You tell me where you're at. And I've been with people who cannot shelve their agenda or don't care to, or they need to be prioritized, but they are also unwilling to unshelve your agenda. So it's like, listen, your agenda stays shelved. It lives on the shelf. My agenda matters, and when my agenda isn't being addressed, there's nothing to address. And it sucks, and it's horrible, and it's a bad time. And it's a bad time for everybody involved because it's not healthy. Amber is the type of person who she prioritizes her own agenda, and she is unwilling or unable to acknowledge or is completely unaware that other people's feelings and packages and bundles, however you want to call them, luggage, baggage, she's unwilling to unpack that with them. Or not able to. Or doesn't even know it exists. She doesn't care about Johnny Depp. It's obvious. And I would have a hard time saying that she ever did. A lot of victims of abuse do and did care about the people who abused them. She's not one of them.
I couldn't.
Amber Heard says she intends to appeal her case, and she's concerned her defeat may be a setback for other women.
I hope this hasn't, had the chilling effect that I worry it may have on other people. I worry.
What? You're gonna contradict yourself in the next sentence. Watch. This is my prediction. She's gonna say that she's worried about the chilling effect, that this didn't have the chilling effect that it should on people. And then she's going to immediately contradict that by saying that she's worried that people aren't going to come forward. Watch. This is what she's going to say.
You know, had the chilling effect that I worry it may have on other people. I worry about that. But if I can look you in the eye, Savannah, and say I'm still here, and maybe that serves to balance out some of the very, very real fear others may have about coming forward or speaking out.
There it is. I'm afraid that this won't have the chilling effect that it should, but I'm also afraid that it has a chilling effect that will prevent other people from coming forward. Okay, listen. If you're a victim, because I've also seen this. I've seen this on Twitter. I've seen people saying that they're telling their clients to not press charges or not come forward about abuse because they're using this trial as an example of being hit for slander. Not every victim is Amber Heard. Amber Heard is, in fact, not the majority of victims. When you're pressing charges, that's not an issue of defamation. When you're getting yourself safe, that's not an issue of defamation. If you're a victim, it's not likely that you're writing an op-ed in the Washington Post. Now, if you decide to write op-eds in your local paper, then yes. And if you've got an abuser who's trying to use this case to threaten you, to say, hey, if you try to get away from me, then I'm going to sue you for defamation, they're full of shit. And if your lawyer doesn't tell you that they're full of shit, you need to get a new lawyer. This is not legal advice. I don't know what I'm talking about.
How do you see your future now? Do you think you'll act again?
I get to be a mom. I get to be a mom, like, full time.
You want to talk about chilling effects? There's something called intergenerational trauma. Whose kid is that?
One day you may want to tell your daughter about this or have to tell your daughter about everything that you've gone through. What would you tell her about what happened here and what the...
Hey, NBC, you want to be worried about that defamation case? Even pretending that Amber has gone through anything related to abuse might be problematic. I think you're safe with that just because, yeah, she's been through a lot, mostly of her own making. But are you seriously going to ask her this question while completely ignoring that Johnny Depp has kids and she made his kids go through this and brought them up on the stand when one of his things was that he did not want his kids brought into this fucking bullshit? And that you try to claim that Johnny Depp's daughter likes you and she doesn't? And that you tried to bring up his son about this alleged assault that supposedly took place on the island? That definitely totally happened? That you have absolutely no evidence of? How come if they both liked you and they were both witnesses to this, neither of them would speak for you? Are you going to claim family ties and that's why? Or is it because they weren't going to come forward for you because you're full of shit? Fucking Christ. I mean, now she's just a hardworking single mom with a shitload of debt, right? She gets to live with the rest of us in squalor, us lower class citizens.
This experience has meant.
I think no matter what, it will mean something. I did the right thing.
You did a thing. I think this is an experience that will be helpful, and I think that this being televised overall is a good thing. I think the judge made a fantastic decision and did a great job. I was really worried for a while there that your lawyers and yourself were going to turn the court into a fucking shit show, and they kind of did, enough that it made it to TikTok. But the this will, with any luck, have a lasting effect on the way people snap review things. And that's a good thing. Me Too ought not be threatened by people saying, yes, and that's not a bad thing. That's the direction it's supposed to go. But also, there's something to be said about whether or not this is something your daughter is going to have to live with. And that's hard to say because it depends on how much attention this gets. And two, it depends on how much lasting residual ripples of forever end up happening. And so ultimately, if her daughter has to deal with something like this, it's going to be entirely dependent on Amber's behavior. It will entirely be dependent on Amber's handling of her PR, handling of whether or not she acts again, handling of how she respects or disrespects the court and the jury and the lawyers involved, etc., etc. As well as, like, anything she does is now strikingly under this scrutiny of this case. So if she wants her daughter to not have to deal with this too much, she needs to shut the fuck up. Because the sooner she shuts the fuck up, the sooner people fucking forget about it and don't talk about it. And when people stop talking about it, it means it's not going to last. The trick will be for Amber to... Her daughter's very young. And so, as somebody who's dealt with PR, and dealt with PR for somebody with a daughter, I would recommend... This is not professional advice. I would recommend shut the fuck up, get some fucking help for if you have any drug issues, if you have any alcohol issues, and go to a fucking therapist and actually get some fucking help and disappear. Get the fuck off the map. Get the fuck out of the spotlight. Get the fuck out. Don't take any acting jobs. Go get a fucking regular job. Whatever you need to do. Go exist in oblivion for 5 years minimum. Your daughter by then will be starting school. And then if you want to make a comeback at that time, but you need to actually change. You need to actually learn what your issues are, take responsibility, and be a better person. And that takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of responsibility, and that takes a lot of effort, and that takes a whole lot of everything. And so if she wants to shield her daughter from this, she needs to make changes to what she's doing, because what she's doing now is just perpetuating the problem. Continuing to lie is only going to make it worse. So if you want to protect your daughter and you want to be a mom, then great, cool. Focus on being a mom. Don't do anything in the public sphere. Go live a quiet life. And if you want to make a comeback when your daughter is old enough to understand what the fuck is going on, fantastic, great, do that. But let your bless to Amber Heard's daughter. We wish nothing for the best for that little munchkin, because she doesn't deserve you, and neither did Johnny.
Did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth. I look forward to living my life, and I have a long one, I hope, in front of me. And I will continue.
One in the chat if you think that Amber is going to outlive Johnny Depp. Two in the chat if you think Johnny Depp's going to outlive Amber Heard. Whose kid is that?
I need to walk through this with my chin up.
That's all for this edition of Dateline. We'll see you again next Friday at 10, 9 Central. And of course, I'll see you each weeknight for NBC Nightly News.
Okay, yeah, don't call this news. All right. I have some thoughts. And I'm going to focus on one because I'm going to get out of here. Get out of your hair. This is a 40-minute segment. What percentage of this time do you think was actually Amber Heard going back and forth asking questions? Because if you were to take this 40-minute video and you were to clip out the overtop audio, the additional clips, the break segments, and you were to take all of that out, this was what, maybe 15 to 20 minutes of actually just Amber and Savannah talking, and it was cut to hell? This was supposed to be an hour-long interview, and this was the best they had? This is the best of what they got that they decided to present to everybody in a 40-minute segment? I'm kind of disappointed. I was expecting more. I was expecting better. I was expecting... Oh, I know. We know that that's not Johnny Depp's child. That's definitely not JD's kid. There's no way that man would get his dick anywhere near that lady once he got out. There's no way. But this was heavily edited. The information that was presented was not 100% accurate. It was lilted in a way to try to equalize the playing field. And I understand that, though I don't agree with it. This was bias. It was bias disguised as neutrality. They were trying to present equal sides. But when the bars are so skewed that you have to shove one side down to equal it out, you are being biased in the other direction. But I don't... This was so cut and so edited. And there's so little of an hour-long sit-down. And if people who supported Amber wanted to critique this, their critique ought to be that this was so much of this interview just isn't there. There's just this almost feels like a nothing burger. She said the same thing that Elaine did in almost the same amount of time, just maybe like slightly longer. And there were some good questions that were asked, but they weren't, I mean, the answers were skirted around the same way they were on the stand. She's not going to say yes or no. She's going to go on a fucking long way journey down all the way to Mordor and then finally come to the conclusion of, so that was a no, right? I don't know. I would like to see somebody with a little bit more cojones. A Larry King interview? She doesn't deserve a Larry King interview. The question is whether or not this is so invaluable. The question is whether or not Johnny Depp is going to respond. And I think he's smarter. He has more self-control. And I think that his PR team is better and he's willing to listen to his PR team. I don't think they're going to respond to this. There's nothing to respond to. There's nothing to answer. Everything that was talked about was stuff that was already discussed on stand. So what would he get for doing so? Nothing. Everything's already been refuted. This is the same reason why I don't address non-sequitur show stuff. There's nothing new. It's all just the same shit. So if it's the same shit, why the fuck am I going to go over it over and over and over again? Just watch the shit I already said. It's already been addressed. There's no point. Although I'm not going to lie, if Johnny Depp handles this the same way that I handled the non-sequitur show situation, I'm going to feel so fucking validated. That'd be great. That'd be like, hire me. I deserve a job in PR. I deserve to get paid for my work. But I don't know. We'll see what he does. I had somebody ask me how long I think this is going to go on for and how long people are going to care. I think burnout is already starting. I think once the verdict dropped, seeing the direction Amber Heard and her team are taking, the burnout is already set. Nobody really gives a shit about what she's saying anymore. And people are, what's going to bring in numbers. I think there's valid reason to interview Amber Heard. Do I think these questions were the best? No, I think there could be more interesting things to glean from her about sort of her mindset and how she feels about things. But I also understand that based on Dr. Curry's review of her, talking to her about how she feels is very, very difficult. So I'm not going to blame NBC for that. I'm going to say that if you want to make money and you want people to fucking talk and like get views and shit, bring Johnny on, because Johnny's going to be the one that's going to have the most information, the most interesting things to say on the matter, because he doesn't have to skirt around shit. If you ask him a yes or no question, he's probably going to answer with yes or no and then talk. He'll be like, well, yeah, and, or, oh, no, but, and he'll go on a thing. Whereas she's just like, oh, I'm just going to go on the thing. I'm going to skip the answer. I don't know. This interview could have been better. It could have been worse. But I kind of understand the struggle. Unnamed Tavern. We'll probably have one of these soon. And Goblin's Lair premieres very, very soon. And I also already have an interview set up for it. So if you're interested in that, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm very, very, very excited. I'm so excited to have the first video already recorded and edited and done, and I'll be uploading it tonight. Members and Patreons will get access to it on Wednesday, so make sure to become a member or a Patreon if you'd like to help support me do this, because this is probably going to get striked. But yeah, I appreciate the support that I've got. And I ain't about here to complain. I ain't about that life. Lastly, Wednesday might have something. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm double checking. We're supposed to play Dungeons and Dragons on Wednesday, but for charity, but that our DM is pregnant, so she may or may not be available. So we'll see. I don't know. Make sure to like and subscribe. You never know what's going to happen here. Look out for an Unnamed Tavern. That'll happen soon. Join the Discord. Have these kind of conversations. I gotta take Puck out. He's being a whiny bitch baby. And he's right to be so. So I'm going to get out of here. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.